Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics. So Boris Johnson, the front runner to become the next Prime Minister, tries to present himself as affable and charming. However, there is a reason he is so divisive, even in his own party. And it isn't just the way he switched sides suddenly for political gain before the Brexit referendum. Put simply, Boris Johnson is not simply unpleasant, he's downright abhorrent. And in this video, I'd like to run through just some of the appalling things that Boris Johnson has done and said over the years. Now, on the subject of divisions, first of all, and he's said that Scottish people shouldn't be allowed to become Prime Minister. Now, such a simple statement gives an insight into a number of dreadful traits for the man who might well become our next Prime Minister very soon. First of all, it demonstrates a contempt for anyone who is not like him. It's no different to the playground bully, really, is it? Who picks on someone for being fatter than they are, but also for thinner than they are, for being taller than they are, but for being shorter than they are, for being not as bright as they are, but for being more intelligent than they are as well. And it's the course of the tyrant through the ages to present themselves as the perfect balance of all traits, and how anyone deviating from this is therefore inferior. It's a theme you can't escape from when researching Boris Johnson. But he isn't just attacking Scots with this statement. He's attacking the United Kingdom itself. He's saying that he wishes for the breakup of our own union, our own nation. You know, as head of government of the United Kingdom, he should be working tirelessly to keep it together and strong. And as head of the Unionist Party, you know, the Conservative Party, bear in mind, that's a shortening. It's the Conservative and Unionist Party. Well, he says he wants the breakup of the union with this simple statement. And this superiority complex that he has extends towards anyone, seemingly, that is not white Middle England and from Eton and Oxbridge. His racist statements about black people and Muslim women are well known. He described black people as pickaninnies with watermelon smiles. He said that Barack Obama wasn't entitled to his views on Europe, not because he was American, but because he has African heritage. He compared Muslim women wearing niqabs to bank robbers. After the Libyan civil war, he jokes that all we need to do is clear away the dead bodies and we'll be sorted. He referred to Africa as a country. So much for that expensive education of his. And he didn't even describe it in complimentary terms either, unsurprisingly. In fact, if you can imagine the most jingoistic British imperial bigot straight out of an outlandish work of fiction, you would be picturing Boris Johnson. He doesn't just say things that are insensitive but not intending offence, because you get people like that. They're called gaffes, aren't they? Where someone says they don't mean to be offensive, they just say something, don't realise what it is, they don't really mean any harm. No. He is a white supremacist through and through. He has just about enough awareness to know that such views are not acceptable. But he is also aware that he constantly gets away with it. So every time he turns around and says something racist or bigoted in some other way, he just denies that he's a bigot or a racist and moves on to the next god-awful utterance. And it's not just racism that floats his boat, as I say. He's a vocal homophobe, for example, even seeming to refer to gay people as beasts. He compared gay marriage to 3 men marrying a dog. He was appointed as senior cabinet minister by Theresa May in an ill-fated spell as foreign secretary. Now, one delicate role of a foreign office of any country is often to extricate your citizens from legal difficulties in countries with very different cultures. Boris Johnson, as foreign secretary, actively landed a British citizen in an Iranian jail where she still resides. Johnson said that she'd been teaching journalism in Iran. You can imagine how well that went down. And it wasn't just that he put his foot in it. It wasn't even true. She was just on holiday visiting family because she's half Iranian. Now, this statement from a senior cabinet minister, who surely, of course, isn't going to get something like that wrong, was enough for Iran to charge her and sentence her to a long prison term. So after saying he'd do everything he could to help her, he actually landed her in much deeper trouble and then abandoned her. And it's not just saying outrageous things that supporters might say, oh, those are just the run-of-the-mill lies that all politicians tell in order to appeal to their electors. They don't really mean it. As if that somehow makes it acceptable. No, he's done far worse. So 10 years ago, a recording was released, before that time, but it was released about 10 years ago, I think, which showed Boris Johnson in conversation with a fellow Etonian. This Etonian, by the name of Darius Guppy, wanted information on a journalist in order to have him beaten up. Now, I'll link the recording in the description below if you want to check it out yourself. But the focus here is on Johnson's behaviour in the conversation, not what came from it. Now, Boris Johnson, when told that this journalist would just receive a few black eyes and a cracked rib, you know, nothing too serious there, Boris, seemed concerned only that his role in the sordid affair would become public. He was assured that his involvement would never become known. Again, his supporters say that Johnson was just humouring Guppy. But even if you accept that's true, if you accept that he wasn't really intending to help this guy out, and I certainly don't, it's still a very deeply worrying sign. This man, who wants to be the guy who's standing up for Britain, was too scared to face this self-confessed psychopath down. That's what his supporters want us to believe, that he backs down. On a phone. An upstanding leader would have told him that it was having nothing to do with it. Also, if Johnson had any moral fibre, the other way I look at it is, surely this guy Guppy would never have contacted him for the information. He knew him well. He did it not only because he thought Johnson could help, any number of other people would have been able to help him get the information. He did it because he thought Johnson would help. In fact, his complete lack of morality knows no bounds. He's a racist, a homophobe, an adulterer. He has twice been sacked for being dishonest. Once as a journalist and another time as a politician under Michael Howard's shadow cabinet. I mean, if there are two professions where being sacked for dishonesty should be impossible, it would be journalism and politics. How bad a liar do you have to be to lose your job lying in those fields? And then, of course, there's his duplicity on Brexit. On leaving the EU, he wrote, "There is a market on our doorstep, ready for further exploitation by British firms. The membership fee seems rather small for that access. Why are we so determined to turn our back on it?" Not quite the same message he was plugging on the bus, was it? Something else he's gotten away with. A recent court case has determined that it is not, in fact, illegal for a minister of the Crown to willfully deceive the public during a political campaign. Though I can't imagine too many people thought it would be. After all, it would be politicians who would have to make it illegal for them to lie. Can anyone imagine Parliament ever voting to criminalise their normal behaviour? In fact, I am actually being quite genuine here. I can't actually think of a suitable trait which you'd associate with an effective democratic leader that Boris Johnson possesses. Interestingly enough, yesterday I saw someone tweeting to one of his supporters, John Mercer, who I think is a veteran. So he tweeted to him, "Oh, you know, you've been in the army. So here are the British Army values. Which ones do you think Boris Johnson espouses?" These are the values of the British Army. 1. Selfless commitment. Not a good start. Boris's actions are always about selfish interests only, though he is committed to those. Tell you what, should we change that to selfish commitment? You can chalk one up there. The next one is respect for others. What? Respect for people that aren't Boris? No, can't do that. Need to change it to respect for Boris. Loyalty? Well, again, only to himself. He's stabbed all manner of people in the back to get what he wants. Thinks nothing of it. Integrity? Well, he lies as freely as he breathes. We can't really support that one. Like I said, sacked for lying as a journalist and a Tory minister, I ask you. Or a Tory shadow minister. Behave. Discipline. Well, he constantly broke the ministerial code as Foreign Secretary under Theresa May. So even though you could argue that any number of deeply abhorrent people throughout history have had discipline, I don't think we can ascribe it to Boris himself. Courage? Yeah, okay. So that's it. I mean, he hasn't really done too well on the British Army values, has he? However, the British Army also has, in addition to those values, 3 standards. How does he shape up to those? Be lawful. Yeah, maybe. Oh, wait, no. Lying might not be illegal, but his group broke electoral laws, potentially conspired to have a journalist being beaten up, fiddled expenses, and maybe even a whole host of crimes we don't even know about. The next one is behave appropriately. The guy who tried reading racist imperialist literature in a Myanmar temple until the British ambassador had to hastily shut him up. No, I don't think so. Could you imagine him going on foreign visits? Oh my God, it'd be worse than Prince Philip. And the third standard is be the best. Oh wait, we might have one here. Oh, Boris is the best at being Boris. But I think it refers to doing your job to the best of your ability. So I think that might be a tough sell as well. So no, there is nothing really laudable about Boris Johnson. Never mind the debate as to whether David Cameron or Theresa May has been our worst Prime Minister. I think we may have a clearer winner of that dubious honour very soon. So I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe for further content. And until next time, I'll see you later.